Okay, give a little update here. I hadn't made a video to speak of in a while. There's a lot of sun glare there. Mostly been working on my shop here in my free time, and we've had to move a couple of times and had some crappy sort of jobs. We're on a really crappy one now. It's hard to get moved into. Took about 4 days to get moved into, and I've had a little spat of health problem. Most of you know I cut timber by hand for 26 years, and then we got this dangle head cutter, and so basically I sit on my butt most of the time now, and I've never had a problem with my blood pressure to speak of. Last time I got my DOT physical, it was up a little bit, and we'd had the cutter for just a little while, and well, this time it was 280 over 160 roughly. So yeah, I had to do something about that, and bringing that way down made me feel pretty crappy for over a month, I guess. But I'm running around 140 over 85 now and not feeling too bad. Starting to get back in the groove. But I've been working on this shop here. I'll give you an update on it. Got it framed out in the walls anyway. And I've got most of my 110 wire pulled. Hadn't done the 220 yet, but about all I'm going to do there is make 3 receptacles, probably 50-60 amp receptacles for welders and 2-stage compressor. Yeah, that Romex that'll get in your pocket. I've got about $500 worth of Romex in the walls already, and right there is the 6.2. That's some I had left over when Dad built that big Morton building. I think there's over 100 feet there, so it may do what I need to do. I think this building's 30 by 34. I really can't even remember now, but let's see. There's a Siemens 100 amp panel I'm going to pull out of my house off of a 100 amp breaker on my existing 200 amp service. 4 switches here, 2 for ceiling lights, 1 for outer floodlight, and 1 for a row of lights over a workbench here, because there's a lot of wasted space right in here. I've got a big old chunk tore out of my hand right now, but anyhow, I'm going to build a balcony across here and some stairs up to it, and put storage and whatnot overhead, some of workbenches and all, and whatever will be under here. So I'll need another row of lights under there. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 4-inch boxes up there, the heavy duty ones. I'm going to use these corncob lights, and for those of you who've never seen one, they're freaking awesome. They're LED. This one here only uses 54 watts, and it's like 6,000 lumens or something crazy like that. I came out here last night because I wanted to decide which way I wanted to turn the bulbs, and took that thing up on top of that 12-foot ladder, and that one light lights this building up enough you could work in it and see just fine. But that's going to be my main lights. There's the back door. I'm going to have a flood on the outside way up there, and that's going to be probably a motion light on the inside, just to make somebody say, oh shit, once they break in. Coming off a switch over here, going up to a floodlight will be on the outside up there, and I'm probably gonna put a lean-to on that side of the building. Same thing here. Come up from this switch, gonna be a floodlight up high under the eaves. I wanna use those Sylvania super duper LED floodlights. I can't remember what they're called. I've got them on my house and they light it up like a high school football field outside. Now they're pretty pricey. Well, those corncob lights are pretty pricey too, but I think they're worth it in the long run. But yeah, those of you who know a lot about wiring, that white wire is 14.2. It's 15 amp standard duty, but I'm putting a row of 20 amp 110 outlets in here too, along with what I'm calling the workbench wall. I probably should put those all the way around, but it costs so much more, and those 20 amp receptacles are so much more aggravating, and hardly ever do you have anything that necessitates those. I have one Forney welder, flux core welder, that's supposed to use a 20 amp receptacle, but I've run it on 15 amp a whole lot with an adapter. I gotta get a receptacle up there because this company that makes this door, they make a deal you can cap over the end of that and take the, I don't know if you actually take the chain off or not, but it turns it into a power remote door. You know, you can put your opener in your vehicle and all. But yeah, this is what I've been working on in most of my free time. Like I said, when I had that blood pressure problem bout, I didn't really feel like doing a whole lot, and believe it or not, we've not missed much work, so I've only really worked on it on Saturdays, and I've not felt like coming home and working on it during all this other stuff. But the framing in this metal sucked, because you got so many bolts and brackets and joints and crap to work around, and then you have to use these great big self-tapping screws to they're over here on everything that's long enough to go through a 2x4, and they're a beast to put in. $35 for a box of 120. Yeah. Luckily, I called it, why framing's cheap, but if you want to call that framing, I can't believe they bring crap like that in here from Canada and sell it and call it lumber. It's just pitiful junk. But yeah, a couple more days I'll be ready to pull power from the house. Out here, over there is my house. There's my boat, and it ain't been out in 2 years. But as you can see, the cover's mildewing. Right here, I used to work for the power company for a while years ago. I swiped this. Well, I didn't really swipe it, they were throwing it out, but there's a brand new roll of 1/0 overhead wire with a number 2 ground. It's 200 feet from the house to the building, so I'm just going to run it overhead since I've already got the wire. I wouldn't recommend using aluminum, especially going that far, but that 1/0 is big enough, it will do the job. I'd like to have copper buried, but that's about $1,200 worth just for the wire. That don't count getting it buried and everything. And that's here, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to clear it. If I I've been pulling 220 feet of drop cord through the woods to work my skill saws and stuff over here, but in a straight shot right through there, I can make it in 200 feet. And the panels right about there on the other side of that wall. I'm gonna double ground rod it over here and ground it back to the house too. There's my 2-ton dump truck. Bought a while back. I was wanting the project on a little bit. It's got a little log bed, or it's got log standards too. You can take the side off. Brand new 366 crate engine in it, disc brakes all the way around, good little truck. But I hadn't had time to mess with it. Messing with this building, but anywho, we're getting there. I first was going to use aluminum backed OSB on the walls, but that'll take me forever. By the time I cut out all these holes and all for all the receptacles and everything, so I about decided just to hire professional sheetrock. It'll take, if I buy the sheetrock at Lowe's, it'll take $1,000 worth of sheetrock. I don't know what the finisher will charge. Probably twice that much more, maybe not. But good thing about it, it'll be done quick. And I can paint it and I can start moving in, so to speak. One thing I did on the ends, they leave these buildings a little flimsy for my taste, so I had this angle iron cut. And you can see all those end posts. I scabbed that angle iron on there and made the ends solid and rigid. Now the side walls, they have no shake to them whatever, because they're double in thickness. I mean, you know, they're that much wider than a 2x4. But the ends were a little, they've probably been all right, but when I started leaning towards sheetrock, I started thinking I better stiffen that up so the mud don't bust up. Now, I'm gonna leave the ceiling alone for now. I'm about burnt out on working on this. I want to use it. I'm not sure if I will insulate the walls anymore. It's got 2 layers of this vapor barrier R4 crap. Most people don't understand insulation. The thickness and density of it has nothing to do with it actually insulating. It's about stopping air from moving. So even if I pack this full of Owens Corning's Finest, I don't think it's going to help me that much. And you know, there's an outfit here called Haynes Insulation. When I built the house over there, they insulated that house cheaper than I could buy the insulation. I may get them to price it, I don't know, but I just don't know if it's worth it, because it's been getting up in the 80s here during the day, and it's not got real hot in here. I've not had a good cold weather test yet, because this thing's only been up about 6 weeks. But now, I don't think it'll be that bad, because you only, when I'm working, 50-some degrees is warm enough. And staying a little bit cool is nice, but I know it's not going to be cold in here. I've got a couple of those big Dayton industrial fans I've put back over the years. I've come across in a good deal. One of them was actually free. I just had to take it down, but pretty much on the wiring, all I like is my 240 stuff. Like I said, I'm gonna build a loft all the way across up there, about 8 foot wide, 10 maybe. Getting some power and receptacles up there and some lights in the bottom of that. Which I'm gonna do that, build the loft part later on after I start using it. And I need to get my outlets, figure out how I'm gonna power my security cameras. I'm gonna put cameras on the outside and 1 or 2 on the inside. And they'll need power, even though they transmit wireless, they still need power to run. And the hard drive will be hidden in an undisclosed location, so whoever breaks in here and figures out they're on camera, they won't find the hard drive, trust me. So, and if they did find it, they couldn't get it. So anyhow, hope you enjoyed this. This is what old Timber Slasher's been up to mainly, besides struggling to work. Try not to work on this thing on Sunday. I've worked on it on one Sunday. I was raised not to work on Sunday. I know a lot of people do. I just try to, I'm a sorry Christian, but I try to honor the Lord when I can. And that's one thing I do, is try not to work on Sunday. But it's hard to resist when it's out here. But stepson helped me a little bit on it one Sunday. I'd like to see him help me some more. He might could learn a trade out of this or something. He's right at that age where he needs to figure out what he's going to do for a living. And I could have taught him a lot here, but he helped me a day or two. That was good. But anyhow, it is what it is. This is what I've been doing. It's been tying up my horsing around video time. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is getting pretty long, and I'll shut up and go on, and then I'll think of 25 things I didn't say once I turn the camera off. Oh yeah, there is one thing I did want to show you. If you're going to do any drilling in wood, forget about those paddle bits. Get you some of these right here. Irwin makes them. Got these at Lowe's. Oh, daggum things will just suck a drill. I mean, literally suck a drill through a 2x4. It's crazy. Highly recommend those. It was $10 for all 3 of them. And I've drilled through some screws and all kinds of junk. But anyhow, just wanted to throw that in there. Yeah. I'll put both rows of those lights on a separate switch. Alrighty, catch y'all on the next one. Hope y'all have a good weekend if I get this up before the end of the weekend.